Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk to you about some of the volatility that we're seeing across the cryptocurrency sector as we kick off a new trading week. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, we saw some crazy price action in both directions today across the sector. So I just want to give you guys some of my thoughts around how a few of these names will play out over the remainder of the week, especially considering the Coinbase IPO is coming up on Wednesday. And I definitely think this will make waves across the entirety of the sector. Okay, so let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over a few of the names we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, TradingView, where we'll talk technicals, price action, and price targets once again on the following names today in this order, going down the watch list. Of course, kicking it off with the king. We got to kick it off with Bitcoin because ultimately the direction and price action of Bitcoin will ultimately dictate the general direction of the majority of this sector. Okay, especially the Bitcoin miners, which we'll get into right after that. So, kick it off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now actually looking very, very good on its way to 61K. You love to see this. So, Bitcoin on the charts does look good. And again, I'll explain to you guys why I think it looks good and why I do believe all-time highs are on the horizon and will come sooner than later. But it's not necessarily the charts that makes me very bullish. It is, once again, these fundamental tailwinds that I believe will come from the Coinbase IPO. Just put not only crypto-related stocks, specifically crypto-related equities at that, many of the plays we're going to be talking about today, really solidify their place in the ecosystem, in the financial markets. But again, it'll just put that much more attention and solidify Bitcoin's place in the financial markets as such a strong asset, again, with this IPO. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. There's not too much to talk about there. I did give a lot more extensive thoughts in the stock watch I just posted, and I will likely talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, the day prior to the actual IPO itself. But just know that I do believe the fundamental tailwinds from the Coinbase IPO it's more likely than not that they propel Bitcoin higher, as opposed to hopefully not a buy the hype, sell the news event. Of course, that's always possible, but again, I personally think it's a lot more likely that this drives to an appreciation across the entire sector. Okay. Except for maybe some of these, and I'll explain why that is once we kind of get down there and I start talking about that. So again, kick it off with Bitcoin. Got to kick it off with the king. That said, after that, we will get into the Bitcoin miners, good old Riot blockchain, and Marathon Digital. So at the moment, I'm personally more bullish on Riot than Mara. And as we've been talking about lately, Mara did successfully play catch up with Riot. Riot was smoking Mara for the majority of the year. Again, in the past couple of weeks, Mara really started taking off, surpassed Riot at one point. But Mara's market cap at this point in time is significantly larger than Riot's. And as Mara has continued to surpass Riot and the market caps just continue to get larger and larger, it makes me more bullish on Riot. And actually, I'm currently, once again, more bullish on Riot. That said, these both look great on the charts. I'm very, very bullish on these for the remainder of the week. And just today, Riot and Mara didn't only outperform the cryptocurrency sector significantly, it outperformed the majority of the market. So today, I believe big tech was the big winner. Like, big tech was really consuming a lot of the capital within the markets today, but especially risk on assets. And Riot and Mara definitely considered risk on assets. It's very, very impressive to me that Riot and Mara kicked off the morning so strong. Again, we'll take a look at that on the charts. Kicked off the morning on a crazy note, did kind of die off over the course of the day. Just took some collateral damage from the rest of the market, really seeing some red, really seeing some pain. So Riot and Mara did catch a little blunt of that, as many other names across the entirety of the market did fall. But again, they closed out the day green. They definitely outperformed the majority of the market. So that makes me very, very bullish, and makes just my sentiment as an investor towards these two that much stronger. That said, we will talk about those two. And then the last name we're going to talk about today is actually going to be CurrencyWorks. So I'm very, very bullish on CurrencyWorks. CurrencyWorks looks great on the charts. And again, CWRK does fall under the category of the more tech-weighted cryptocurrency sector, which these are as well. So Riot and Mara are Bitcoin miners, right? They're paid directly in Bitcoin. It makes sense that if Bitcoin is doing well, these two will do well. Like Riot and Mara, as many of you know, are kind of just amplified versions of Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin will specifically impact the price action of both Riot and Mara. CWRK, some of these other names that are in the watch list today are a little different because CurrencyWorks is more blockchain focused. ZKIN, XNET, some of these names, you guys know these are more blockchain, the more tech side of the sector. I would say like these are like the altcoins almost. Like Riot and Mara, like Bitcoin, these are kind of the altcoins of the crypto related stock sector. So these guys are obviously seeing some pain right now. Like so CWRK is looking good to me. I'm not going to batch CWRK with these, but Canaan down almost 30% today. You guys, if you were trading Canaan, I'm sorry. That's a stinger. That's some crazy price action. But It's not surprising to me. I was just telling the Discord today, I really wish I kept those Canaan calls that I picked up like a month ago. Those would have paid dividends, really saved some of the other losses from some of these other calls on other plays in here. But Canaan down 30% today on bad earnings. Their earnings were very unimpressive. Not profitable. Year over year was actually worth like their revenue from 2020, or their year over year revenue, I'll say, is worse. I'm not gonna talk too much about those earnings. You guys can go check those out if you want. But that was the primary catalyst for Canaan's kind of demise today. It fell off a cliff. So Canaan, again, we're not going to touch on these. I just wanted to show you guys this to kind of display the contrast across the sector today, and why I'm that much more bullish on plays like RIOT and Mara going forward. All right, so Canaan, ZKIN, XNET, of course, the Chinese blockchain plays, was very bullish on those guys. Still bullish from a technical, or I'm sorry, from a fundamental perspective. But all three of these guys look very bad on the chart. So I'm not even going to cover them. I'm not trading them personally. I'm not going to short them either. But I definitely don't feel comfortable holding any of these, at least significant positions in any of these at this moment in time. Okay, but RIOT, Mara, CWRK, very bullish on these three. So let's get into it. Before we dive into the charts, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you are invested in any of the names we're talking about. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want to catch more content like this, and of course check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description if you want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio that I do update every single trading day during market hours. And with every update, I send out an email newsletter explaining my thoughts, rationalizing my trades, letting you guys know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so $15 a month. First link down in the description. Once again, really means a lot if you check that out. But if not, no worries. Appreciate you watching. Now let's dive into these charts. So Bitcoin, again, looking really good right now. I love when I start videos and Bitcoin just starts ripping. So Bitcoin, again, almost at $60,700. We are so close to breaking a new all-time highs and playing out this inverse head and shoulders. So you can see these three kind of curved lines right here, very bootleg head and shoulders kind of draw up. But just to give you guys the gist of what I'm seeing here, kind of an inverse head and shoulders playing out. We are, again, also in an ascending channel right here. But again, head and shoulders on the more macro beginning over a month ago on March 12th. Actually, exactly a month ago. So March 12th, you saw the peak here. Exactly a month ago, we reached our all-time high in Bitcoin, just under 62K. Since then, we've seen some crazy volatility, but ultimately it's been kind of sideways. And just looking at this chart, you guys, Bitcoin is inevitably still in a bull market. The fundamentals are still there. All the stars are still aligning for Bitcoin from a fundamental perspective, which gives me reason to believe that it's way more unlikely than not that this chart continues to the upside. We see this next wave of the cryptocurrency bull market of 2021, as opposed to pulling back. Just looking at this chart, taking all the macro factors into consideration, it would truly surprise me if Bitcoin pulled back at this point. This does not seem toppy to me. This seems like some accumulation and capitulation prior to another big run up. So I do ultimately believe that Bitcoin will break to its new all-time high. This would play out kind of this would completely resolve the head and shoulders pattern. You could almost say this is close enough because we got so close a few days ago. On the negative side, we did see a double top here, double top in 2-4 hours, like textbook double top. We are kind of seeing somewhat of a bull flag here. This is kind of a symmetrical triangle, discounting these wicks high and low. We're pretty much just going sideways. And again, parabolic move up followed by somewhat of a symmetrical triangle. I think it's more likely than not that we do break out to the upside here. And again, once we break to new all-time highs, that's the big thing. Once we break to $62,000, that would trigger, obviously that would be a new all-time high for Bitcoin, and that would trigger that hyper bullish sentiment that I think is very necessary for this next wave up. So Bitcoin has been struggling to break its new all-time high, but I think it will happen. Again, I think the tailwinds from the Coinbase IPO will really propel Bitcoin forward. And yeah, once we break to new all-time highs, I think it's way more likely than not that the trend line that every single trader who trades Bitcoin on the planet is looking at, and that is the line of resistance on the overall uptrend beginning at the beginning of the year. Okay, so high right here. It only makes sense to me that once we do break that all-time high, we will start the journey to test the line of resistance on the overall uptrend. If this happens at the end of the month, let's just do all the price targets will be end of the month. That would take us to $84,000. So 80K Bitcoin over the past few months has just kind of been my intuitive price target for Bitcoin. But again, it's all dependent on when these trend lines are hit to dictate my price targets. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Moving on, RIOT blockchain, very bullish on RIOT right now. So keep this. I mean, it looks pretty much the same, you guys, as a stock watch. So I'm just going to keep this pretty brief. the next few days are really what's going to be exciting to me. And I will probably at some point this week do that solo RIOT analysis, considering last week I did the Mara analysis. I'll probably do the RIOT analysis this week. Okay, so RIOT in a massive symmetrical triangle. Again, RIOT obviously in an uptrend. Symmetrical triangles, this is huge. Bullish pendant right here. Again, these symmetrical triangles will more often than not resolve themselves in the direction of the overall trend. RIOT's definitely in an uptrend again, especially with the tailwind of the Coinbase IPO coming. Bitcoin breaking into all-time highs. Hopefully, maybe that happens overnight. We'll have to see. That'd be super exciting. If that happens, it's inevitable to me that RIOT will ultimately break to the upside, break out of this, and I do think it will be a big break just because this is such a strong symmetrical triangle. 4-hour Stokes curling up. 4-hour Stokes, we're actually curling up on Bitcoin. All the names we're going to be looking at, you're seeing the 4-hour Stokes, good old blue crossover red. Love to see that. That's good. That's one of the few technical indicators I do use at this point in my career, just because, again, when it comes to general direction, especially on the 4 hours, which is what, again, this 4 hour, 4 hours plus this is very telling of direction. So I really like to see that. Again, just from a general pattern perspective, massive symmetrical triangle, bullish pendant, will likely break out to the upside. Once we do break out, I think it's very likely that this trend line comes into play. Discounting these highs right here, I think that's just a little outlandish. I'm very comfortable using this trend line though. And this would take us to, I had it on the right spot. By the end of the month, April 29th, that would take us to the infamous triple-digit RIOT. So 105 exactly if we hit it by the end of the month. But to get to 100 on the dot, that would be April 21st. So that is in less than 10 days from now at the time of recording. That'd be crazy to see. But again, we've seen crazy price action like that before. Like right here was this from February 8th to February 17th. So again, just about 9-10 days, we went from $23 to a high of $80. So it would not surprise me to see that again. Again, I am more bullish on RIOT as opposed to Mara at this point because Mara's market cap is just getting significantly larger. Although the share prices are the same now, I think it's RIOT's time to shine, and RIOT is looking really, really good on the charts, and I think it's just asking to break out. With the Coinbase IPO, one question I got that I think is definitely relevant is, do you think that the Coinbase IPO will kind of steal capital out of the other players within the sector? And my answer to that is kind of yes, I do, but I think it's gonna be more on the side of plays like this. That said, that's like one of the two scenarios. The other scenario I see playing out is, and the scenario that I actually think is more likely to play out, is that it just brings that much more attention to the crypto sector. Again, we've seen so much appreciation across the entire sector, so much hype around it, so much FOMO around it, and it seems like we're kind of on the last leg. Things are definitely cooling down, but I think this Coinbase IPO, again, especially for crypto-related equities, like all of these guys, just any stock, any publicly traded company, they will get that much more attention, that much more love. Again, they'll have their places solidified that much more in the financial ecosystem. And I think it'll just take capital from other sectors of the market, not within the market. Again, maybe you do see a few plays like this hurt, like we just saw today. And there's sentiment is very, very negative for especially a play like Canaan right now. Canaan, I definitely wouldn't trade Canaan right now, but I do think that it will bring attention to the cryptocurrency sector as a whole. And again, very, very bullish on plays like RIOT, Mara, and again, CWRK, just considering it's looking so good right now. But just keep that in mind, you guys. Those are the kinds of things you need to think about. Watch how this Coinbase IPO affects the rest of the market, and it's likely you can use this information at some point in the future when we see another big IPO. But again, this one's pretty blockbuster, so just watch how the market reacts to this, because again, it will come in handy in the future, more likely than not. So Mara did break out, a beautiful technical breakout of the longer term downtrend beginning in mid-February. Broke out, we're seeing a bull flag play out. Mara did successfully break out of this bull flag this morning, went way up to like $55. Again, over the course of the day, both RIOT and Mara did come down. Just because again, there's so much bloodshed across the entire market, they took some collateral damage. That makes sense. That happens. It makes sense to me that, okay, so Mara broke out. Let's actually go to the hourly because this looks a little easier to digest. So this looks great. So Mara again broke out of the bull flag. It came up. It is now using previous resistance of the bull flag of the short-term downtrend as new support. So we are technically in a breakout. We're in a short-term breakout of a bull flag following a long-term, very strong breakout, and those are two very, very bullish technical indicators. Let's go back to the 4 hour. Again, Mara's 4 hour Stokes are about to curl over. I think it's very likely that Mara will ultimately come up to test. Again, top line of resistance, very, very obvious uptrend right here. Every trader who's trading Mara as well is looking at this line of resistance on the overall uptrend. April 30th, we're looking at like just under a $90 Mara. So there's a lot of bullish indicators going on here, and you guys know I'm a bull on both RIOT and Mara. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens here. So again, we'll see how this plays out over the course of the week. And again, what that Coinbase IPO, or how that Coinbase IPO, I should say, impacts the remainder of the sector. Close it out with CurrencyWorks. So CurrencyWorks, pretty much the same thing as Mars short-term bull flag, but we just saw this is a big old bull flag. Okay, so CWRK, 4-hour Stokes currently up. You love to see that. The trend is definitely in that direction. CWRK did break out once again of a pretty beautiful bull flag. Parabolic move up followed by a descending triangle. And again, we've seen the same exact thing play out literally twice before, so it only makes sense to me that this plays out once again. As I've been saying, if you guys have been tuning in, this looks so much like RIOT did in like May of 2020. Just a series of bull flags, descending triangles, almost not even bull flags, but descending triangles in an uptrend, and then it just went absolutely parabolic. So again, we were talking about RIOT when it was at sub 250, and it would not surprise me to see CWRK do something similar. I don't think CWRK can perform as extravagantly as RIOT just because it's an OTC stock, so you physically just can't see that much volume and you can't trade options on it and whatnot. So it will be a little more difficult for CWRK to see the appreciation that RIOT did. That said, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all, considering CWRK is doing very cool things in the industry with NFTs and whatnot. They're really making progress as a company fundamentally. So it would not surprise me to see CurrencyWorks get to at least $10 by, like, if Bitcoin rips to 80K, it would not surprise me at all to see CWRK, a play like CWRK, at like $10. And again, the more this play grows, the more attention is brought to the stock. The Coinbase IPO is going to bring so much, like, as if it's not already, but it's for sure going to bring attention to this sector as a whole. And CWRK, from a fundamental and technical perspective, is looking very, very good to me at this point in time. And then shout out to the newsletter portfolio group. You guys know that definitely weighted in favor of CWRK. Okay, so again, just keep an eye on how the market works, you guys. I remain bullish. Again, I do believe the fundamental tailwinds from the Coinbase IPO will ripple in favor of many of the plays within this sector. But again, just because these guys saw a pretty hard time today. So be careful if you guys are thinking about playing these, just because, again, especially Canaan being affected by earnings, it's a very fundamental issue there. And Canaan just ripped up super fast. Canaan looked very, very bubbly. And if you guys have been watching the crypto convos, these crypto stock talks over the past few weeks, I've been saying Canaan's looked overextended. So again, wish I kept those calls. That's the game though. It's okay. And I'm focusing on the upside, and that's why I'm very excited about some of the plays we just talked about. So please let me know down below what you guys think of the plays we just spoke about today, what plays you're excited about yourself, and what impact you think the Coinbase IPO will make on this sector. Okay, so I will talk to you guys downstairs. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.